Garvin will meet Banner of Clare in the other semi-final. So Shane Meehan is the star man of Banner here. You'd imagine that he's going to be the star man on show in this game. They were beaten in the quarterfinals of the Clare Championship, so it's mad. They haven't played since September the 11th, and they're only going forward because they were the last first team in the championship. So in the Clare Junior A quarterfinal, they lost to Aero Guinness, who are obviously their Ennis rivals, but they haven't played in almost 2 months. And I think they were knocked out very early before the quarterfinals in the football as well. Are we going to give Banner a pass here, or are we just going to expect Shane Meehan to take over against Buff and the Healy Rays club?
I imagine, yeah, Buff will definitely be there anyway. I'd imagine the Healy Rays will as well. No doubt, fresh from going at the Taoiseach or going at the Taoiseach in Leinster House every chance they get. But yeah, it's a funny kind of a one, because I know there are definitely situations where clubs do not want this. Like when you haven't earned it, they don't want it. If you've been to a final, it's one thing, but having been to been beaten in a quarter final, like you're falling into the provincial championships, really. Do you know what I mean? So it could be very, very difficult to regroup. It could be very, very difficult to get numbers. The year is finished on a pretty bad note in a quarter final, and a lot of lads, it might be difficult even to pull lads together. But they have a great player like Shane Meehan, an amazing prospect, and I'd imagine, some of the elder statesmen in the club are saying, look at the opportunity before you.
I'm a little torn on this one. In one way, I think that a second team should be allowed through, but the other side of it is it is nearly nicer to see the first team of a club through than another club's second team. And certainly the likes of a divisional team. Imagine if East Kerry were going through. That would be an absolute joke in terms of what they'd be able to do against most of the other club sites in the rest of the country. So that wouldn't be fair at all. But where do you stand on second teams going through?
Yeah, well, I'm playing for our own second team now, and I know that it would be a huge incentive for us, and I know you were playing for Coola's second team, and isn't it a massive incentive to potentially go on a provincial run? The problem is that you could have stacked teams, and you could have a lot of lads regrading themselves with the potential of getting on a run in that, and that's unfair in the sense that you're manipulating the numbers within your club, or you're manipulating, and it's totally unfair, I would say, on whatever is the first team within another club. But I don't know. I think if some sort of regulations were put in place where, there's only a certain amount of players can be regraded from senior from the first team from the year before or something like that. So you can't regrade, 11 or 12 or something like that and take all the old stagers come back and have a right good run for the second or third team. But I do think it's a bit ridiculous when you're going to a team that's been beaten in a quarter final. That's no disrespect to Banner, but I just think that's a bit mad. Like, they're not your county champions, they're not even your county finalists, they're not even your semi-finalists. You're going really, really deep down. I'm gonna just say to you something as well on East Kerry last weekend. I just thought it was a bit mad. I know they're all playing again this weekend with their, native clubs, and, that was their divisional side the other day. But I just thought even the scenes at the full-time whistle were a bit bizarre after the Kerry final the other day. That's the cream of Kerry club football. And, there wasn't even hardly a lad with his hands in the air. It was going and shaking hands. And, I know they've won a couple.
It didn't mean enough.
No, it didn't mean enough. And I know they've won a couple in recent years. But, winning a county title should be dropping to your knees. It should be parents and brothers and sisters and friends running on. That's what it should be. And to me, it didn't look like it meant that much. I'm sure it did, but it didn't look like. I think the optics of it didn't probably look great. It looked like this all-conquering divisional side, and it looked like another title. It looked like Dublin winning Leinster to an extent.
Yeah, it did. And it's not like they won it last year or won 4 in a row and now it's a fifth one and you're like, all right. They regained the title. Normally when you regain a title, it's huge joy. And look, we're not slating the players. It's just, I think it kind of tells everyone what they already know, that there's just something not right with having divisional sides pasting everyone and winning a title like that. But just back to the second team thing. In a lot of, it's probably pretty much every county championship, no team's B team can get up to the top level. So, there was one stage that the Ballyboden, I think, second team, this when they were winning 5 in a row in Dublin. So, a decade or so ago. And like at other stages, the Kilmacud second team, maybe the Coola second team, that they would have been good enough to probably win the second tier and get up into senior as well. So you could have A and B both in the senior championship. But that sort of stuff rightly isn't allowed for. I'd say the Burr team over the years as well would have been good enough to get up to the top tier. Would they have at any stage at all?
Yeah, there was a period, I was actually just checking just to make sure I had the right years. When Borough were going unbelievably well in the mid to late 90s, Borough won the intermediate championship, which was the second championship at the time, in 97, 98 and 99.
So would you have liked to have seen Borough with a first and second team in the senior championship?
No,
It's not
bizarre.
right. So then why should it be allowed in provincial championships?
Yeah, okay. But the only thing I'll say is within provincial championships, they're not going to be coming up against their own team. You're not dividing two clubs.
You could have a club that's got like massive playing numbers, like a couple of thousand members, and they're able to have an unbelievable second team, and they've been able to transfer in players in the whole lot because maybe they're in an urban area, and all of a sudden they're getting there all the way to Croke Park, and it's, there's just something it doesn't sit easily with me, I have to say. I think the current system, it's not perfect, and you're going to end up with the odd situation like a Banner in there, even though they didn't win a quarter final. It's not ideal, but I still think it's the lesser of two evils, or it's the purer way to go.
It's funny because I think you were on the other side of the fence when you started the debate, and now you're after moving to the other side. You definitely were. You were definitely thinking, I think maybe second team should be allowed in, and you're after doing it.
No. I don't think I ever quite did say it. No, I do think that now. The more I think it out, I do think it would probably be wrong to have second teams going through. And I know I was chatting to Derek Lynch, Clare FM about it, and he looks the other way in terms of this. But yeah, I think the more I tease it out, I'm inclined to think that we have the right system.
Now, your example on, whether a B team should be able to go in and represent go into the A championship, the second team against the first team, I think that's totally convoluted in the sense of you actually would have two Borough teams facing off against each other, which would, in the one championship, which goes against the whole ethos of a club, and it would potentially create a rivalry within a club, and you might be trying to get lads back to your B team, and then there's all of a sudden this massive rivalry within your own club. So I definitely don't think that's right. I think in the provincial championship, obviously, would be different. It's just one team going through. But it's definitely, I just think when it goes down to that quarter-final stage of that, I wouldn't be a big fan of that. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, get your comments in and let us know what you think. James Daly says, in a